Bunisana, thank you for being here with us into the second hour of the Situation Room this Monday morning. And wherever it is that you're tuned in from, asante sana that you could join us. It's great. We're getting into a conversation around the state of the nation this morning. And for us to then have this conversation, Dr. Barrack Muluka joins us this morning. He's the Democratic Alliance Party SG, and we're examining State House leaks, divisive politics, and realignments. Good morning to you, Dr. Muluka.
Good morning, Drew and Dennis.
Morning to you.
How are you?
Salaam sana.
Very well. How are you?
I'm super. I bring greetings all the way from Emmanuel and from my friend Andy Franklin. He says specifically, pass my greetings to Ndo.
Okay.
And Dennis.
Asante sana.
Sana mefikisha. Salam kutoka Emmanuel.
Asante.
You were in Manuria over the weekend?
They are virtually, physically, and in other ways. Yes.
Okay. Tu es en forme?
Je suis en forme toujours.
Toujours.
Oui, comme l'habitude.
Comme l'habitude.
Oui.
Okay. Karibu sana.
Asante.
We're getting into the conversation, but we'll do that in just a bit. Another country where it's spoken French is where Dennis has taken us this morning.
We are in a country that gave us Mansa Musa, the richest man alive ever to be known. So you talk about Timbuktu. Many use that phrase, I will go to Timbuktu and back, and still I will not find Kenya moving. So they don't know where Timbuktu is. It is just here.
Yes.
West Africa, right? Yes. A very rich country in terms of the gold deposits that they do have. That has been extracted for a while by the French government. But today, with the new government in place, they're saying this is our resource. We will have it to improve our people. But the problem that we get from them says, when you start to understand that there isn't one more day, but there's one less, we will start giving more value to the things that truly matter.
Very good. First of all, you know, Timbuktu is or was a center of knowledge.
Yes.
Mansa Musa, whom you speak of, in 1325, to be precise, on his return from the pilgrimage in Cairo, in Mecca. In Mecca, picked up a huge slate of scholars from Cairo and returned them with him to the kingdom of Mali.
Yes.
So I've already cracked your country.
Yes.
It is Mali, the kingdom of Mali. And you know, that kingdom was very wide. It traversed probably about 7-8 of the present African states. Yeah, but your proverb is interesting. It reminds me of another saying in Things Fall Apart. Chinua Achebe tells us of the character called Unoka of Umofia, that whenever he saw a dead man's mouth, he always saw the foolishness of not eating what one had during one's life. We can only eat so much, and a lot of us are obsessed with having so much. And no matter how much you have, in Emmanuel we say, your share is only one plate, a plateful. A couple of spoonfuls is all you can eat. The rest belongs to other people. And no matter how obsessed you may be with the property, with the earth, with the planet Earth, and you may want to own the whole of it, like Tolstoy has told us, how much land does a man want? What belongs to you, 6 by 6 feet. That's all that belongs to you. And if you are cognizant of that fact, you'll be less avaricious in your appetite for primitive accumulation and causing a lot of suffering in the process of amassing so much that you will never need, even if you are to be given another 1 million years to live around here. You cannot, as an individual, consume what you have accumulated. And there have been those kinds of characters in history. and they still exist.
Indeed.
Well interpreted.
Still in the present.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And even as we look at the state of the nation, there are a couple of things that we're asking ourselves questions about, but then also what needs to come to the fore in terms of the conversation this morning. Examining State House leaks, divisive politics and realignments. It seems as though, well, it doesn't seem as though, it's very evidently so, that people are already trying to make a move, politicians specifically, and are trying to cross over from place to place. And the question is, are they doing this because they want to help in the progression of the nation, or they want to help in individual progression? That's one thing that we look at.
A lot of these wild beasts, they migrate across the Mara depending on the season and depending on where the pastures appear to be greener. They will cross from one end of the Mara to the other, the wildebeest. And I think what we are seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg. As we move closer, and we are now already in the month of August 2026. Another August, we'll be going to the polls. So as we get close, I think, to the end of this year, and the early parts of next year, we're going to see migrations of politicians on a very wide scale. Those who have doubted and those who still doubt that certain individuals are going to be calling the shots, and they're going to be with the people, and the people are going to be with them. They're all going to migrate very shamelessly. You're going to hear people say things like, oh, we have been with William Ruto, for example, for this so many years, and we have decided that this Kenya Kwanza government is going nowhere, and so we have decided to cross over and to work with the people. When they say it's going nowhere, they really mean that it's taking them nowhere. It cannot take them back to the offices that they hold. So to a very significant extent, it's about the selfish interests rather than anything truly altruistic.
Dr. Curry, do you reckon that Kenyans see beyond these political theatrics? That
yes,
it gets to a point where, like you've said, it's a wild-beast migration. But that at the end of the day, even when that migration happens, each and every single politician carries with them their track record. Have we gotten to a point where Kenyans see beyond the political theatrics and ask the difficult questions? Just how sure are we that you will deliver?
First, I'll be a little cautious about the notion of track record, because I keep hearing President William Ruto saying things like, you will be judged on the basis of your track record. And your track record can only be determined on the basis of what your role was in that arena. For example, you cannot ask me as a Barrack to give you my track record on the basis of how many roads I have built or how many stadiums I have built. That's not my remit.
Yes.
You can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
No, you can't.
Okay.
So you must use the right metrics to measure me. If I am a politician, for example, in the opposition space, I should be measured on the basis of the extent to which I have held the government of the day to account, and not in terms of how many wells and how many dams I have built, how much food I have supplied. That is not part of my job description. So I'll be cautious a little bit when it comes to talking about a track record. In that particular context, therefore, the defections are usually, most of the time, as the grain of history shows us, from the government to the opposition space. you will find people who have been very voluble about the virtues, real and imagined, of the government of the day, suddenly shifting gears. And some of them, like the late Raymond Dong, and there was another gentleman, I forget his name, from Limuru. They could defect even 3 times in one day. So, yes, when we ask about the people being able to see and to remember, I think that kind of individual ought to lose the election, regardless that he crosses over to a party that has had a progressive voice, and a party that has braved it out for a period of 5 years. If we look at certain individuals like Kalonzo Musyoka, for the past 2 years, there have been efforts to woo him to join the Ruto government. If he were to cross today to the government side, I would consider him far less intelligent than we have imagined that he was, because he should have crossed earlier when there was all the time to eat the bread and butter. And now, as you said at the start, the days to engage in that feasting, he would be sent home together with William Ruto, is very, very real. In converse, such an individual, again, who has braved it out, now receiving some fellow who has been dressing up in invective, who has been very busy calling her the pouring out plaudits and praises on the regime of the day, suddenly waking up to the realization that it's a failed state. I think that kind of person should be allowed to stay in political purgatory for some time and wait for another 5 years before they could possibly be reconsidered. But Dennis and Ndu, the thing we call dystopia is real. Is real in the lived world. We usually imagine that dystopias are possible imaginations in fiction, that we may have people like George Orwell, people like Aldous Huxley, giving us literary gems that are basically dystopic. But dystopia, Africa proves that dystopias are lived realities. That if we look at Animal Farm, for example, and we see the sheep that say every morning, they bleat every morning, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, that the day comes when the lead sheep tells them to say 2 legs good, 4 legs good, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. And they will stand up and say 4 legs good, 2 legs better, when they have been saying 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
And even when they've lived the experience,
and they have
that 4
lived
legs,
the experience of 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. And today in Kenya we have sheeple, people that we can call sheeple. And the sheeple are telling us 4 legs good, 2 legs better. And they are saying that our leader left us in space where he told us 4 legs bad, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. And they're gravitating with that notion of 2 legs better. So the imagination is limited in certain landscapes. And we have people whose intelligence seems to be buried with Old Major. You know Old Major?
Yes, he was a dog.
Yeah. No, Old Major was a pig. He was the Boer, the one who foretold the revolution.
In Animal Farm.
Yeah, in Animal Farm, and said the revolution was coming, and taught them a song titled Beasts of England, Beasts of Ireland, and told them how they would live in paradise, how beat and spar would rot forever, and they would live in a glorious land. Then Old Major dies. And after Old Major dies, there is Comrade Napoleon who takes over. And Comrade Napoleon, you see him, I saw him yesterday, saying things like, we support Kenya Plan 2060. How can you support a plan which we have not even seen? We don't know whether it's going to be the plan of Mao Zedong or whether it's going to be the plan of Pol Pot in Cambodia.
Well, I think they're saying that, you're going to come and have a conversation about that. And I think it's a great segue into that conversation, Barrack, because you talk about Schiphol, and I think that's interesting. I've actually written that down. You talk about Schiphol, and it's not just individuals who may change their particular stance, but then it's also plans for the nation that could change. But we can't run away from the fact that they're brought by people, and that to me it's not confusing. We have conversations over the last couple of days, and people say it's really confusing. Which way are we going? And for me, it's not confusing at all. It's clear as day exactly what's happening here.
For me too, it is not confusing at all. But it depends on the direction. Our two directions may be different. For me too, it is not confusing. Why is it not confusing? I heard on Thursday last week, His Excellency the President invoking Maoist and Pol Potic terminology. He talked about the Great Leap Forward. The Great Leap Forward was the dictatorial policy and effort of Mao Zedong, or Mao Zedong, as we called him when we were growing up, Mao Zedong, to transform China, to modernize China. And he didn't. It ended up just being one of the very worst experiments in dictatorship. That Pol Pot in Cambodia, with his agrarian revolution, began by talking about conversations. When the Khmer Rouge was getting into Phnom Penh, he was talking about a conversation, a national conversation that was going to transform Cambodia, getting rid of everything that people had known, saying that this is the most consequential moment in Cambodia. And it didn't work. So I have to be extremely cautious and to recognize that there are always leaders who have got messianic illusions. And when they arrive, they cast themselves in the mold of messiahs who have been sent by God. And President William Ruto particularly has told us that he has been sent by God to transform this country. And that must make me extremely cautious, because like you, Ndu, I can see clearly that there have been such individuals who characterize themselves as saviors with divine ordination to transform societies. And when they come and tell you we are going to have a conversation, it is a one-way conversation.
It's akin to the fellow who told us that he's in a WhatsApp group with God. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
Yes, but, some kind of prophet also again. Yeah.
But how can you? And I mean, and that's why for me it's very clear that people are saying, for me it's extremely clear that you shouldn't have to question. If you have not taken step 1 and 2, there is no way that you will get to step 9 and 10. And so perhaps what's being said should be seen for what it actually is. Do we have trouble then being able to decipher between what the truth is and what are machinations of somebody who wants to continue being in, political space? And it's not just at the presidential level; it's across board. Yes. We have people who are raising bills in Parliament to stop public streaming of election results. We have people who stand up and say that they're the kingpins of certain areas, and as though it's a God-given right to do so. It just seems as though there is a cabal of madmen.
My starting point will always be with the philosopher René Descartes, who says, I think, therefore I am. Je pense, donc je suis.
Oui.
I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. René Descartes, in fact, philosophers and students of philosophy will tell you, starts by saying, I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. And for me to be alive, I must be an interrogating animal. I must be a questioning animal. That I'm not just going to clap on the basis of some verbal ventilation by some individual, no matter what position or office they hold. I've got to wait and see, particularly individuals who have got certain kinds of track records of optical illusions, verbal optical illusions, if that is a paradox. But the current leadership in Kenya distinguishes itself for that kind of character, that they are long on promises and short on delivery, and that when they talk about conversations, they are not known to allow Kenyans to think and to contribute to conversation. For example, the House of Parliament is a house of conversation. Do you like the French language? Parliament, parler, to speak. That is the root. If you are to look at the etymology and to establish how Parliament has been derived, it's a place where people go to speak, and to speak with open minds, and to make their own determinations and vote on the basis of their conscience. They take an oath of office and hold that which they consider to symbolize sanctity, and they say, I will serve conscientiously. But the president will say, I want this bill to go through, and I would like to see who is going to vote against it. I cannot trust that kind of individual to position a conversation. But maybe he has had his Damascene moment on the road to Damascus. He has seen the light. He's probably going to be thinking and acting differently. In that case, I have got to wait and see. They say in mathematics, QED, quod ed demonstrandum. I've got to wait and see after it has been demonstrated. QED.
I mean, you see, Doc, in a situation where we find ourselves, even as we talk about this new Vision 2060, it starts from a point where we already had Vision 2030. Mwai Kibaki started it, and it was hoped that it would proceed with the other governments that would come. Now, later we enter to the better agenda, bottom-up economic transformation agenda, then enter broad-based, and seemingly enough, even the better agenda was forgotten. There was a time when even President William Ruto was part of the Big Five agenda as well, away from Vision 2030. Now, as we talk about this Vision 2060, it comes from a point where we will have such and such a date for us to have the conversation. But no one is really looking at why all the other plans that have been there have not been delivered, the failures that have been there, and what we can do better. Where Kenyans are now asking, How do we start talking about 2060 when we can't take our children to school, when we can't feed ourselves, when we've been told El Nino is coming and all you expect is that people will die? Can we have such conversations about a vision 2060 when we've not handled the basics in the society?
I think there is nothing essentially wrong with talking about Vision 2060. In fact, it is still a short-sighted vision. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that today, being the year 2026, we should even be talking about the year 2126 and come up with a vision of where we imagine this country should be 100 years from now, when perhaps only a handful of us who are alive today will still be around. Mm-hmm. That gives us an opportunity to plan without being selfish, without being self-focused. Mm-hmm. So there is essentially nothing wrong with that. For example, I think the Chinese are thinking 300 years ahead of now. They're thinking about how they are going to own the world. And you can see that they are instrumentally moving in and they are beginning to own the world. That in another 400-500 years' time, everybody in the world should be Chinese. Mm-hmm. That is visionary thinking, and setting up Confucius institutes in every university of note. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of correction to be made. Mm-hmm. Vision 2030 was in fact conceived under the KANU government in the days of Daniel Arap Moi, the last season of his rule, the years 1997 to the year 2002. That was when Kenya Vision 2030 was conceived. But it was shelved in the year 2003 after President Mwai Kibaki came to power. And it took 5 years for us to completely mess up relations among ourselves, much the same way we are doing now, along very destructive tribal lines. And when we started recovering from that folly in 2008, after the Kofi Annan process, among other things, we resurrected the Kenya Vision 2030, which was then swung back into the implementation phase under the Ministry of Planning. A secretariat was put in place. I think Wycliffe Oparanya was the minister in charge, and there was a good secretariat within the ministry. And there were certain projects which were dubbed Kenya Vision 2030 projects. But it was a very short-sighted project. If you are in the year 2010 and you are talking about Vision 2030, you must be very short-sighted. You need to be seeing a lot further. Because how can you be talking about Vision 2030 and you are saying that you are even going to change the curriculum so that you are going to produce people who are going to take Kenya to Vision 2030, and you are starting in class 1, and these people are going to take 18 years in school. You are leaving them with about 8 years to come and then transform Kenya to that fast, very, very strong second world economy. And now you're talking of taking Kenya to Cambodia, Singapore, and to Vietnam within another 25, 35 years. It's another short-sighted vision. And to answer your question in a straightforward manner, it's because we have leaders who do not think organically. They think of themselves as God's gifts to the nation. They forget completely about the efforts of those who have been there. They think that if they implement that which was conceived by those who are there before them, they are diminished, they are minimized. And so they throw all that on board. But the present one thrives even within the space of confusion. Confusion because you have had better. It has been yours. You are not even thinking of coming back as a new president. It's the same president to continue with your programs. You have abandoned the programs that you had without attempting to audit them, to even tell us why you think you should migrate from them. You came up with a university funding model, which you are running away from. You are not telling us why. You came up with an ICT program. You told us you are going to build 100,000 kilometers
of road
of fiber optic. You are not telling us how many of those kilometers you have done and what the benefit is. You are telling us about tens of thousands of government services that have been digitalized, and we don't know what they are. If we tell you, give us the schedule of those 20,000 digitalized government services, you can't. You came up with a hustler fund, which has just disappeared in the Lorian swamp, like the river Uasongiro. So, in short, therefore, the present one seems to smack more of confusion than of migration from that which those who were there before started, because you are the one who was there before.
I'd like to take a break and then come back and understand, because it seems as though with this, what would be transition, the president is very clear that on the 12th of August, he wants to have a conversation with Kenyans about what they think about this. And that yesterday he said something else, that this is not political at all. So how can we make a separation between the two? Dr. Barrack Muluka is here with us. We're going to continue this after the short break. Don't go away.
This is the situation.
And even as we do with Dr. Barrack Muluka, can we separate these latest announcements or proclamations or desires to go to the first world from politics a year to another general election? Can you do that?
We cannot, because even Kenya's political vision 2030, Kenya's vision 2030 had 3 pillars. So the honors told us there was the social pillar, an economic pillar, and a political pillar. And if you listened to President William Ruto on Thursday, he talked about democracy, that we are talking about how we are going to obtain in a democratic environment or dispensation. And he talked about the rule of law. He talked about the constitution, that this is going to be the most consequential conversation since the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is political in the sense that we must talk about the observance of the law, of the constitution, of the rule of law. We must talk about allowing people to assemble, to express themselves without the fear of being abducted or without the fear of being confronted by goons and being beaten up and killed by goons. That we are talking about a polity. The community itself is a polity. The nation is a polity. And the polity organizes itself around the affairs of the community or the affairs of the state, which are political. That we will then talk about economics, the kind of economy, political economy that we are going to build, the kind of instruments that we are going to use to build that political economy, the kind of social organization and order, the behavior of the police, the behavior of the independent commissions, the behavior of national elections that is going to, the elections that are going to give us the leaders who then spearhead the process of the implementation of Kenya's Vision 2060, whether they are going to be people who have been democratically elected, and whether we are going to believe that they have been democratically elected, or whether they are going to be declared by an independent elections and boundaries commission that is telling us we cannot give live coverage to the election results, that we are going to sit inside there as the commissioners and we will come and make an announcement. Now, if you will come and make an announcement and we decide as Kenyans that the elections have not been transparent, we are going to protest, and we may even want to arrest some individuals and parade them in the streets of Monrovia. How are we going to be implementing Kenya's Vision 2060 and calling it separate from politics? Kwame Nkrumah famously said, "Seek ye first the political kingdom." We must organize our politics properly so that we are spending less energy on abusing each other. Every morning, the political class is trading insults from government to the opposition, from the opposition to the government. Energy which people should be using to work, to be productive, is being spent in political rallies. Every day, including today, there are going to be political rallies somewhere. Where do we get the time and the capacity to do work that is going to take us to the destination that we desire to arrive at in the year 2060? So we must also reconceive and reorganize our politics to feel less of the political presence in our midst and to see more of the transformation that we yearn for.
I mean, as we approach 2060, the vision carriers who will help propagate that to 2060 are the people of Kenya, because it is through their taxes, it is through their labor, it is through their presence that Vision 2060 would become a reality or not. But then again, even while at that, Kenyans have not been included in that process, public participation. It's said that it's going to come, fine, but from the onset, they are not included in it. But that notwithstanding, many are equally saying, and could they be wrong when they say that Vision 2030 is just another political agenda for 2027, that many are being prepared psychologically to start consuming this as a political manifesto for 2027. Is there any truth to that, from where you sit?
It's probably well intended. Cut him a slack, give them a bit of benefit of doubt that it could be well intended, but I doubt that it is. I said I will stay with René Descartes and doubt and think and be. We are being invited to a conversation that's supposed to start being rolled out on the 12th. Is William Ruto framing the election question through that purposed unveiling of a visionary journey that begins with a conversation on the 12th of this month, so that now we focus on that. I also thought at some point that he was probably also just trying to be diversionary, because also not been very healthy in recent times. First, you lose an election in Kalonzo. It was bidded as a Ruto election, and you had all these goodies being taken there and so on. So you lose that election, you go quiet for a whole 2 weeks, you are not saying anything. Then you tell the country that you have a major statement you are going to make. When you make that statement, it's like the mountain giving birth to a mouse. Nothing very significant said that has not been said before. Could it also be just a diversion from those spaces? Why that particular timing? Could it be countering the Sifuna wave? Or could it be diversion from the affairs of cabinet, where ministers are calling each other hyenas, and some of them are asking the president to reduce the number of hyenas in the cabinet? Could it also be a diversion from the siege under which the deputy president finds himself?
Or could it be that there is a desire to keep Kenyans infatuated with the idea of hope and promise? I would, compare it to the man who tells his lover all the time that I love you, I love you, I love you, but I don't do or behave in a manner that would appear so. But I keep you in love with the idea of my love for you, and so you're likely to pay a lot of attention to me. Because I find it difficult to imagine that a country would be hurtling towards the first world, where in a year 2026, you have over 400,000 students whose shadows have not darkened the corridors of a school. And there's supposed to be 100% transition. That in the same place, in this country, you have people who are delivering at the door of a hospital. You have people who are walking kilometers to fetch water. And when they get the water, it is the color of the wall behind you. In this country, and we are talking about going towards the first world. So if you keep telling me that you love me, but you are not showing me that you do, the only way to keep me around and to be interested in you is to keep me captivated by the words that you speak. But the things that you would do don't match the energy. Because I that's why I said before that to me it's very clear that there is no intent to do this. Because if there was, children would be in school. I'm not talking about the ones that are. I'm talking about the ones that are not. That everybody would be able to walk into hospital and be able to get the medical care that they desire, whether because they've been told that they wouldn't have to pay another coin, that you wouldn't have to wait for months before an electricity transformer makes it to your village. That you shouldn't have to. These are the things that I say are the building blocks towards. It's what they keep saying that a benevolent dictator, like we saw in China, that they did. That's why they have gotten to the place whereby for 100 years they're developed. How do we see it differently if your action has not matched your words, beyond you just wanting to keep me paying attention to you?
I've been told that especially we men, we are poor at telling people that we love them. We tend to assume that if I love you, you can actually see from the things that I'm doing for you, and I don't need to.
Don't need to tell me. Okay, so then do them. Then do them.
To keep telling you that I love you, but I'm told that sometimes it's very important to keep on telling people that you love them until it becomes a bit of a sing-song. And these things about the delivery of Kenya Kwanza, It should not surprise me if I should leave this seat and someone comes and takes over. I don't know who is coming next. And they're probably going to be full of praise of Kenya Kwanza. I hope it's not going to be Shipol that is going to be replacing me in this place after I go away. What you see happening, I think, keeping hope alive is not a bad thing. We must keep on hoping that things will change and change for the better, and that those who have been given that opportunity are actually going to change. The government that we have in place today is going to be remembered in history, and you can write this down today, as a government that was big on promise. Government that made a lot of extravagant promises and attempted usually to clothe those promises as results already delivered. That when they say we are going to do this, we are going to, when they come to woo you, they keep on telling you we are going to do this for you and we are going to do that, we are going to bring. Then they will even come for those transformers when they want to go and woo somebody else elsewhere. So that the love that we hear from this dispensation is like the love of a mother who keeps the pot boiling on fire and saying you are going to eat something very soon. And actually in that pot, there are 3 or 4 or 5 rocks or stones that are boiling. There's no food boiling in that pot. So, in the end, it's up to the people, Dennis, to wake up and be a little more interrogative, to question a little more, especially now that we are in the month of August. We are on the home stretch to the next general election, which includes a presidential election, and the presidency remains extremely important in this country. And begin asking ourselves, beyond the benefits of the moment, because there are benefits of the moment. We may complain that we are suffering, a lot of us, but there are benefits of the moment for a certain class that is paid to praise, to sing and praise. But beyond that which you could even just call plain bribery, how is it helping this country now that we are talking about visions? How is your present Shipol performance going to contribute towards Vision 2060 and beyond? The bribes that you are taking today, so that you are saying that we are now part of the broad-based government, are you able to see beyond your nose and ask yourself what kind of country your grandchildren are going to inherit? If we kissed a frog in 2022, must we kiss the same frog?
Hoping it turns into a prince. That's the question. The interrogatory process that Kenyans have to go through, I mean, just really quickly, because we're running out of time. It sounds nice and it sounds flowery, but how you talked about it necessary to interrogate certain things and to get to the place where you're in full firm understanding of what it was. Can Kenyans reject this? Can Kenyans actually say, since we're being called to the table, no, actually, it's not what we want. We want you to do the things that you said you were going to do in the beginning. Can you actually say, actually, you know what, hang on a minute, let's sort out 2026 before you try to get towards 2060?
There will be a significant swathe of Kenyans who will say, no, we are just being hoodwinked and we are not going to accept to be inveigled. But the population and its architecture and design is such that you will have sufficient numbers for a choreography that then makes it look like we have had a conversation. So it is a question of whether a critical mass of Kenyans will see through these things for what they are and make the right decisions.
Dr. Barrack Muluka, thank you for being here with us this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to